Good afternoon, Top Shot community. Happy Friday. Hopefully, everybody is doing well. I'm super excited because we have a very special guest today. We have Alan joining us to talk for office hours today about collector score and pack eligibility and a lot of those mechanics that have been released and then improved recently. And we're going to get a little bit more insight into how that all has come to be and the future direction. So, with that, Alan, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
Hello, Candy, and hello, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm doing great. I love having this opportunity to join office hours. Jacob's been asking me, "Are you available this Friday? Are you available this Friday?" Every week, it seems, for a couple of months now, and finally the answer was yes, and it couldn't be better timing, I think, because it's a great opportunity to get to talk about some of these new changes to collector score and pack eligibility that we've just announced with the announcement of Holo Icon Drop 3.
Fantastic. And for those of us who have been in the community and kind of the Dapper sphere for a long time, I've known Alan for the last 3.5 years, which is magical. But Alan, can you give us a little bit of your, like the TLDR of how you ended up here at NBA Top Shot and what it is that you do so people understand why you are so terribly qualified to explain all the ins and outs of collector score?
Sure. So I fell in love with NFTs and digital collectibles that you could actually own with the very first official NFTs, which were CryptoKitties. When those came out, I was just a member of the community who had read about them, just like yourself, Candy, and I got so obsessed with CryptoKitties that I started building tools within that community, and that kind of got the attention of Dapper Labs, who flew me up to Vancouver, and I had a chance to meet the team and share some of my thoughts about CryptoKitties with them, and just kind of get to know everybody, and they got to know me, and I was fortunate enough to get a position joining that team, and ended up running a lot of the like fancy chases and trait releases for CryptoKitties for a good chunk of that first year of CryptoKitties, and then from there wanted to continue to explore possibilities of what could be built on the blockchain, and we designed a game called Cheese Wizards, which was a lot of fun, but also really complicated because it was running on Ethereum. And in the meantime, the team had started work on NBA Top Shot, and I was fortunate enough to get to join that team pretty early on as a game and systems designer, and ended up uh, helping to lead a lot of the design on this collectible aspect of NBA Top Shot. And as someone who's just such a huge collector myself, especially of digital collectibles and NFTs, I was able to help contribute, along with everyone else on the team, ideas about what I really wanted to see in a collectible product like this. How can I show off my fandom in a way that's kind of unique to this digital space, and unique to this world of scarcity and true ownership, and these multiple layers of value. And yeah, so I've been involved since very early on, and helped kind of bring this vision to life, and help shape this vision for what NBA Top Shot is. And so more recently, I'm still a kind of game and systems designer with a focus on a lot of the content, including the pack drops, and including some of these core features like collector score.
Fantastic. And so, understanding now where you've come from and kind of how you've been so involved on the back end side of things, can you give us a bit of, the overview of the vision and design process behind collector score specifically? Because a lot of the collection or the questions that we've collected from the community over the last day and throughout the week have been about the newly released feature. So let's understand kind of what Dapper's process and thoughts were So that way that will give us, a little bit of light into the questions as we move forward.
That sounds great. Yeah, so it's collector score is one of a great many features that we've always known we wanted to have in the product. We knew that there's a lot of ways that it can go, and we wanted to have the opportunity to build it sort of in conjunction with the community, which required having built up some of the community first. And so it wasn't one of the things we wanted to launch with initially, but it was something that we've always known that we wanted to have and we wanted to sort of build up. And it's great that we're finally in the position where we're able to start doing that and have that be an important part of pack eligibility, which was not part of the original plan, but is something that kind of came out of, the incredible demand for packs and the need to make sure that for especially these rare and legendary packs, we're maintaining the scarcity that makes it special and interesting and unique, and navigating sort of the realities of that we've encountered where everybody seems to want the packs, but there's only so many of them out there, and it's pretty clear that some people are in some ways, wanting the packs for the quote unquote right reasons, right? Because they're actually collecting moments, they're actually engaging in NBA Top Shot. They want to build up their collection, they want to enjoy that pack ripping experience. And that there were some people who were just showing up because they wanted to sell moments to the collectors. And it wasn't such a great experience when a large percentage of the packs were going to that latter group who were just, here to frankly try to make a bunch of money. And for anybody who's here trying to make a bunch of money, sorry, that's we're not here to make that life incredibly easy for you, especially when it comes at the expense of the collectors, right? We're here for the collectors, for the NBA fans who want to build up their collection. So we found that there's this opportunity where we had collector score, which was this idea of a simplified single number that in some way boils down your collection in a way where it can be measured to some degree and compared against others to some degree. And some of the most exciting things about collector score that we've always envisioned is that it can be a simplified single number at one level, but also have various slices that you can take out of it. And you can imagine finding your Lakers collector score and comparing, well, okay, you've got a bigger collection than I do, right? But I'm a bigger Lakers fan than you are. And like my Lakers collection, far exceeds your Lakers collection because that's who I am as a fan. And so someone kind of glancing at the numbers can see, okay, yeah, Alan, he's a Lakers fan. Like that's where his focus and energy is. So you can not only see kind of how big of a collection I've built, but also the direction that I've built it. And that's something that we're going to continue to iterate towards. But given that we had this situation where we needed to find a way to help identify the people who are actually building up their collection versus those who are just, trying to make money off of those who are building up their collection, collector score became an important part of that. And some of the priority that we've given towards which bonuses we implement have been a combination of what serves that purpose well, or what we hope can serve that purpose well, as well as what is practical to sort of implement and then communicate, which becomes its own kind of challenge. And I know that some of the latest bonuses that we've added, a lot of people have a lot of questions about the specifics of how those work.
I think that definitely is helpful for people to have that background about how the collector's score, kind of came to be and what the bigger purpose is. Because, I will say, as somebody who joined Top Shot, the very first day, obviously before I joined the team, but I was collecting a bunch of stuff and like trying to complete sets because I happen to be a completionist. But there wasn't really anything to quantify like how I was doing. And so it's been interesting seeing this feature rolled out and having more boxes to check. And now that I have some that are not completed, like is motivating, even though I personally can't make any moves there. So I'm curious to see how that will, continue to, the gamification, I guess, will motivate the community to, share their fandom. And that's a pretty exciting thing, Alan.
I think that one of the great things here as well is it isn't it hasn't until now been an easy thing to see. I'm a big Lakers fan, but is there a player or a moment that I might have missed out on from the Lakers for whatever reason, or maybe I just haven't gotten that push yet to like add that KCP to my collection. But it's something that I've kind of wanted, and I just needed a little bit of a nudge. And between the new feature where when you're browsing the marketplace, you can actually see which moments and how many of them you actually own as you browse through. I think that's a huge part of this uh, helping you complete the collections that are meaningful to you in a way without having to go back and forth and see like did I buy that or did I get that in a pack? I can't remember. I wanted to. I don't remember if I did. Now you can just see that right in the marketplace, and then now by visiting your collector score page, you can also see if you've collected all of the players from a given team within a series and overall, and that's an additional tool that I think we're going to be able to help build out even further to help people just kind of check those boxes internally that they want to complete and check off. You had also mentioned something interesting, which is that you didn't have a way to sort of track your collection. I think one of the sort of unfortunate side effects of the fact that it took us as long as it did in the beta to begin building out the collector score publicly is that clearly there's a number of people who like to look at the monetary value of their collection, in various ways. And there's a lot of websites that cropped up that show that information in different ways that try to estimate that. But they are all estimates, nobody can tell you the actual monetary value of your collection other than a buyer who comes up with the number that you are willing to, sell to them at. Like that would be kind of the definition of the value, I suppose. But while that was something that a number of people are interested in for sure, and it's great that third party sites have come up that help estimate that for those people. It was also sort of just the default for everybody because there was nothing else. And for a lot of us, it isn't about adding the most dollar value to your collection. It's about adding all those Lakers, and it's about building up your collection and showing off those complete sets and that sort of thing. So what I love about finally having launched a version of collector score here is now there is a number for those people. And again, it is a simplified number. It's never going to be perfect for everybody, but it speaks a lot more to me as a collector than my dollar account value as estimated by some site.
And so with that, and kind of looking at, as you mentioned, the different ways to value your collection or, to complete your collection. One of the big things that I think we've seen throughout the community the last couple of days is when the new collector score, setup was released, people started looking at the numbers. We got the blog yesterday, and they were doing a lot of, that min-maxing gamification, looking at where their score currently was and what they would need to do to get to, say, the 7,500 score for the Holo Icon drop. And so there's quite a few different routes that people can take in order to get to that particular criteria. And I think that's something that, as we've seen throughout previous drops, the collector score requirement has been changing for drops. So for the community and kind of understanding a little bit more about the idea between having these various ways to achieve those scores. And to me, it personally feels, and maybe that's because I have more background about you, Ellen, but kind of like those various paths you can take in an MMO where you're questing, and it really doesn't matter which quests, paths you take, you end up getting similar XP and getting to the end goal the same.
Exactly, yeah, and the MMO analogy is certainly apt. I was going to bring up, so in another life, I worked at Blizzard Entertainment, working not in a game design capacity, unfortunately, but still working with the team over at Blizzard on yeah, World of Warcraft and some of the expansions, and really was a part of that community as well. And there are those players who are all about the min maxing, which is just let's throw all the numbers in a spreadsheet and find what is the most efficient way that I can achieve this goal. And we definitely expected to see some of that, and it's been really interesting to see the math come out and see as the market evolves how that evolves for the people who are just like, what is the generic, easiest path to this goal for this drop. But to me, the really interesting thing is on an individual collector level, based on my collection, I own, some Lakers legendary moments, and those are the moments that have like the greatest individual point value within my collection. And also, if I can add some bonuses to those, that's gonna have a much bigger effect than if I add bonuses to some of the common moments I own. And so there's a couple of paths that just opened up for that. One is complete the set. Well, I'm not going to, I mean, I'm not in a position where I can add to my collection anyway. But speaking theoretically, I'm still not going to, complete the cosmic set. That's beyond me. And hats off to everybody who's managed to do that. Those few people who've managed to do that. But I can boost the value of my legendary moment by completing the team set, right? And that's not going to be true of everybody, right? There's not a single path that's true of everybody based on their starting point. But I can look at my collection and I can see that, oh yeah, I want to collect Lakers anyway. And it turns out that just by like filling in these couple of gaps in my Lakers collection, right? Again, if I could purchase, I have a little bit of extra incentive to make sure I get that new Ben McLemore when the playoff packs drop this afternoon. To complete my Lakers team, so that those legendary Lakers moments I have get that extra bonus. And that's something very specific to me, but also something that naturally flows along with how I have started my collection and want to continue my collection. And those are the things that we wanted to really give as options to collectors. And so it is, like you said, where there's a number of different quests that you can take. And if you're somebody who really loves completing challenges, you're going to see bonuses for that, for completing those challenges and holding on to those challenge rewards. If you're someone who really loves completing sets and seeing that 287 out of 287 on your profile, now there's some extra sort of juice behind that. And same for the team completions.
So having those different ways to, complete sets and game points based on the moments that you're holding, it has definitely been, I think, pretty exciting for the community. I've seen a lot of spreadsheets being completed or created, and the third-party tracking sites are kind of showing ways for people to, take the paths. I think Girl Dad was also showing their strategy on Twitter yesterday. So it was a really interesting thing seeing, all of these different ways that, as you've mentioned, kind of give people the path to increasing their score. But there's another factor here as well, and that is the marketplace spend bonus,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is something that the community has been kind of adapting to as we've rolled it out. And we get a lot of questions about, the difference between the net spend versus total marketplace spend, and essentially, having a lack of bonus for the profitable accounts if you're going by, total marketplace spend, because they may have also sold a lot. So maybe if we could discuss a little bit of, that prioritization mechanic here and why we opted for the net spend or how that works.
Yeah, definitely. And one important thing to note about the marketplace bonus is we call that a drop bonus, which means unlike the team and set bonuses, which we kind of intend to be a core part of collector score now and going forward. Obviously, we're in beta, as much as that's kind of a meme, it's true, and those can and will continue to evolve as necessary. And we'd love all of your feedback and ideas and suggestions about how to improve those. But the drop bonuses are are especially intended to be something very specific to this drop. So while we had a marketplace bonus for the premium pack drop, you know, all the details were different, right down to even what we meant by net spend. One of the great things about this feedback process is we got feedback from the community that the way you're calculating net spend isn't exactly quite right, or it doesn't feel quite fair, because if I buy a moment for $1, I spend $1, and if I sell a moment for $1, I get 95 cents because of the marketplace fees. And so we actually changed it up this time for Holo Icon based on that feedback, so that the way we calculate that net spend is actually the amount that you've spent on the marketplace minus the amount that you received from sales, rather than the amount that you sold for on the marketplace, to kind of account for that for everybody, which gives a nice little boost, but also just makes things more logical and makes sense. And it was a great suggestion that we got from the community that we were happily able to implement here. And another change that we made is that, unlike last time when it was overall net spend as of the snapshot, for this it's still snapshot based, but it is only the marketplace spend starting on January 31st. So we're looking at a more compressed and recent time window, more related to this drop. And that's the kind of thing that we might be looking at moving forward as well, is compressed time windows. The idea of a marketplace bonus is really nice to acknowledge the fact that collector score is kind of a blunt instrument. It's measuring everything in a very specific way, that explicitly doesn't acknowledge, a lot of the factors that make particular moments extra special. But a lot of those moments are acknowledged in the marketplace pricing. And so if you've spent extra on a common moment because it was the LeBron James no look three, right, it has the same baseline collector score as another, Series 2 common moment, but it actually can contribute to your marketplace bonus as a way of acknowledging, the extra factors that make that more valuable. And so we like that aspect of it. There's kind of a delicate balance that we need to understand better about how much we can rely on that sort of pricing as a way to um, fairly measure, your collection when it comes to this pack eligibility, which is something that we'll continue to look at and potentially iterate on in future marketplace bonuses as well.
Right. And so, given that, understanding of how the marketplace and the spend works, one of, I guess, the bigger things moving forward then, because we've seen how the snapshots are working with the marketplace, what about the collector score itself? Do we have, because it was rolled out yesterday and we saw that it was, last updated as of like 4 p.m. And what are we looking at for timelines as people are interacting with the marketplace and they're buying moments? They want to know exactly, how much that's affecting their score. So, do we have a, regular schedule of when they'll see this reflected on the Top Shot site, or kind of a timeline for when we can expect to see that?
Yeah, so one of the interesting things about, the way that we operate at Dapper Labs is we want to be able to get things out as quickly as possible and iterate on them and get the feedback on them as quickly as possible. And so that means that while we could have waited, an extra month or two to roll out this feature and have it all buttoned up so that it's showing you as you buy and sell moments exactly what's happening on your score, that why wait 1 or 2 months before starting to get that feedback and starting to be able to use that for pack eligibility and share this with the community. So it turns out that it's just a couple months quicker to be able to build a version of it that uses this snapshot feature. And so that's what we've done, and that's kind of why we're at the stage we're at for now, and why you'll see certain features that launch in a way where you're like, ooh, I can think of all these great ways to improve it. And absolutely, you're right. And we want to hear those because we might not have thought of the same great ways to improve it that you've thought of. But we know that there's room for improvement, and we do plan to improve. We just want to get something out as quickly as we actually can. And so to support the fact that people want to know, am I doing it right? Right? Like, am I understanding this correctly? Did I actually manage to get all the Lakers, or am I still missing something? Our plan is to, with this system, up until the Holo Icon drop, update that snapshot at least once a day. That's our goal, and we're aiming to try to do twice a day if we can, because we know that feedback is really great. But that's kind of the reason why it is snapshot based for now. Is it's just a matter of making sure we get everything out there as quickly as possible and get that feedback as quickly as we can.
All right. And so, in addition to the updates about collector score, can you give us a little bit of the, I guess, further understanding about the bonuses? Specifically, people have asked about, collectors with multiple challenge rewards. Will those get a bonus for, each of those challenge rewards that they're holding? What's the deal with stacking moments and bonuses?
Okay, yeah, those are great questions. So the way that the challenge rewards work, there's kind of two bonuses in a sense. One is an actual bonus, and one is just kind of like bonus-like, in that if you look at the baseline values for the collector score for individual moments, you'll notice that we break out a special line for each type of moment if it's collector score versus, if it's not. And so the advantage of owning a number of, like a stack of a challenge reward, is that instead of each of those being worth, say, 10 points, they're each worth 15 points because they're challenge rewards. And so that's something that you're going to get, right? Each one of those is going to be worth that challenge reward baseline amount. So that's, those moments are just worth more in general in that way. And so the stacking contributes in that way. But we also do have the bonus, which is the challenge completion bonus, which requires both that you have completed the challenge that's associated with that reward, and that you own, at least one reward that was associated with that challenge. It, to be clear to everyone, it doesn't have to be the one that you got from the challenge. So if you complete a challenge and you get a serial number 4300, and you're like, I really want a low serial number, like I'm collecting all double-digit serial numbers, you can sell that 4300 and buy a number 42, and you still get that challenge completion bonus. Even though you don't own the moment you received from the challenge, you still completed the challenge and own a moment associated with that challenge. And so you get that challenge completion bonus even in that scenario. But you can only get it once because you can only complete each challenge once. And so those don't stack. You can't, collect all of that challenge reward and get that bonus over and over and over again. But you mentioned stacking in general, and we hinted at this a little bit in the blog post, that one of the bonuses that we are definitely looking into and think would be a great addition, because it does reflect the way some people love to collect in Top Shot, is to look at those stacks and have potentially certain thresholds where if you happen to own 100 Cody Zellers, maybe that's worth a little bit of an extra bonus to get called out, to show that, it's not that you happened to open a few more Cody Zellers than other people when you were opening packs. It's you're chasing this, right? You're intentionally stacking this moment, and this is the way that you represent your fandom because you just love Cody Zeller that much. And so that's a potential bonus that we're absolutely looking into. It's not something that's a part of Holo Icon, of course, and it won't be part of this drop, but it is an example of the kind of bonus that we think makes a lot of sense.
So to be clear, for those people like Arsonic who do have a bunch of Cody Zellers, right now, all of those particular moments would be getting that extra buff if they are part of a full team because he has so many of them. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's very true. So there's the two bonuses that we have: the set completion bonus and the team bonuses. I guess there's two of the team bonuses. So across those three bonuses, if you own a complete set, that bonus only applies once for the complete set, and only once per set. So you can't sort of stack that bonus by like, let's say you're collecting Cody Zeller's Series One base set moments, right? You can't, by completing the Series 1 base set, you're only going to get that addition for that Cody Zeller once. You're not going to get it for every Cody Zeller you own. But if you own all of the team moments, then that applies to every moment from that team within that series, if it's the series team completion bonus, or the full team bonus if you own every player on that team. And so that applies to all of the moments there. So if you own 1,000 Cody Zellers, each of those is going to be multiplied up to 3 times, right? If you have both of those team bonuses, each of those moments becomes worth quite a bit more.
Perfect. And so that's important because that's something that we had seen a lot of questions about in the community, to make sure we got that clarified. And other things, people are looking at like the All-Star, I can't talk, All-Star game moments. Wondering if those are counting toward team completion bonuses. So like, do we have, the Series 2 Team Durant as an option, or is it solely the NBA teams proper right now?
Yeah, that's a great question, and something that uh, it's a great opportunity to clarify, and hopefully we can get that clarification added to the blog as well, because I know it's not something that we covered explicitly. But the team bonuses are for the 30 NBA teams, and so that only applies if the actual moment is, when you look at it, right? Each tells you what team it's associated with. And for those all-star moments, they're associated with Team Durant and Team LeBron, which is not, right, one of the 30 NBA teams. So there is no team bonus associated with any of those moments. So the LeBron doesn't help you in your team bonuses. It doesn't benefit from the team bonuses because it's not a Lakers moment. It's a Team LeBron moment, and there's no Team LeBron bonus.
Okay, so for now, those are things that are kind of independent, but potentially could be considered in future iterations.
It is something that we would look at, and we're open to getting the feedback on. It isn't something that we're planning on, though. Um, for the team bonuses, we intend for those to be, the actual NBA franchises, and for that to be sort of a bigger picture thing than these sort of one-off exhibition teams. But the set bonus is still available to you, right? So if you own all of those All-Star game moments, and you have that complete set, of course you can still get the set bonus for owning that complete set.
Perfect. So that's good information to know as people are working on their collection strategy. And we also had questions about serial numbers and badging and why they don't currently have impact on collector score bonuses. And then the follow-up is that an option for the future?
So I'm not going to say anything's not an option for the future. So definitely, if there's things that you think should be considered for contributing to collector score, please make the case. Let us know. We are gathering and reading and considering all of the feedback. For now, what I'll say is that. Especially for this drop with the marketplace bonus again, and I talked about this a little bit earlier. There's lots of different factors that can make a moment, you know, more scarce, more special, more valuable to people, and that tends to be reflected in the price. And so lower serial numbers and badges tend to kind of be reflected in the amount that you pay for it to obtain those moments from the marketplace. So to some extent, and obviously, this varies depending on individual cases, and where you got the moment and when you got the moment. But that is sort of reflected in the marketplace bonus that's available in Holo Icon here. Um, the intent is never to fully like replicate, a measure of value or specialness of moments. Owning the special moments is in some sense the reward for owning the special moments, right? You get to show off that Top Shot debut that you have that most people can't get their hands on, and that is in some ways its own bonus. Doesn't help get you access to packs, I understand, on its own. Although again, the marketplace bonus could in that case. But it is never going to be the case that everything that is special will be reflected in collector score specifically, because it is just a single number, and it's always going to have some oversimplifications. It's always going to not cover certain ground, but the fact that we have the badges there that you can show off, what makes that moment special within your collection. You can make a showcase of all those badged moments and share that with friends. That still, like, that doesn't, the fact that it's not reflected in collector score doesn't make any of that less true or less special or less valuable.
Oh, right. And so that's an interesting way for sure to be looking at moments and kind of the different ways that you can assign value to a particular moment. And I think that's something that is, pretty inherent to any collectible group that you're looking at. So it's definitely important to note here as well. What about people who are asking, obviously the collector score interface was rolled out and it's pretty exciting. Like being able to scroll through and see which teams you've completed or which teams you're missing one player on. That's good. And everybody is like super hyped about that. But how can we most efficiently figure out, which players we are missing in order to complete the full team challenges?
So for now, we understand that that's not a very straightforward process. A member of our team's actually put together a fun little spreadsheet. We do love our spreadsheets. We understand that it's not hugely helpful. Oh, thank you, Candy, for sharing that link there. Let me delete that. And we'll try to share that link more broadly. This is just kind of a manual checklist, and it only really applies right now for the Holo Icon drop. But for now, if you're interested in making sure that you've got, again, just as my go-to example, every Laker from Series 2, say, you can look at this spreadsheet. You can go through your collection and check, all right, do I own a LeBron? Do I own an Anthony Davis? Do I own an Alex Caruso? And actually just check the check boxes as you go in the spreadsheet, and then, in your own copy of the spreadsheet, of course, and then see, what is still missing, and then search the marketplace and find yourself the right moment from those missing players to add to your collection to really fill that out. So it's not our long-term vision, obviously, for how that's going to work. But in the spirit of getting this out right away and getting that quick feedback on it, we did want to provide something to help you out. And so thanks to the team for putting that together, and thanks for sharing it as well. For those who might be listening to this later, you can probably just ask in Discord for that link if you want to get that that checklist, and we have versions of it for each series, each team, and the overall teams.
And that will definitely be, good. And I know that the community is also creating resources. So I think working all together, we'll be able to easily track what we still need while we're waiting on, continued development and implementation, which the team has been working really hard. And so seeing even the progress that they've made so far, like huge kudos to them for what they've been able to roll out.
And that's
And
a
I
great point about those community tools. Like huge shout out to everybody out there in the community. And like I said, when I started, I came from the CryptoKitties community as a tool builder. There's those are people who are following after my own heart here, and we love seeing everything that everybody's building and all the information people are sharing. And even, I'm a big spreadsheet person, so even the people who are just creating like these massive spreadsheets and sharing them around on Twitter, like that is just amazing to see. And huge shout out to everybody who's helping everybody's lives be a little bit easier. It's really fun to get to be a part of that.
It's kind of the magic of blockchain too, being able to build new products on top of the existing products and have them all work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So with that, and kind of we've covered a lot of like what currently exists for collector score. So perhaps now you can give us a little bit of information before we move to looking ahead, but about the drops themselves. So wondering, first off, how the collector's score requirements for drops are determined. So last time we saw 2,500, now we see 7,500, but the kind of why behind those numbers might be helpful for the community.
Yes, it's definitely something that we spend a whole lot of time and have a whole lot of very smart people poring over a whole lot of numbers on, right? I mentioned we love spreadsheets. I love spreadsheets. We as a team definitely love spreadsheets and different ways of looking at all the data that's available. It boils down to making sure that um, we want to find what that right balance is of having the pack be something that, for a fair number of people, it is something that they can get access to, without making it such that everyone has access and then just everybody gets in line and nobody gets a pack, right? Right now, I talked about collector score being a bit of a blunt tool. It's also like the pack access right now is a bit of a blunt tool in that all we can do today is set a number and say, all right, if you're above the number, then you're in. If you're below the number, then you're out. And that's kind of our way of managing, your chances of being able to get one of these packs. And so, given that we only today have that sort of a blunt tool, we do have to find where that number is and where that makes the most sense. And the things that we're looking at is the balance of, okay, well, how many people qualify? How difficult is it to qualify at various levels of marketplace spend, of collection size, and what does that actually look like when we look at all of the current collectors out there and we look at all the moments that are available and all the different avenues that are open to increase your collector score with all of these bonuses. And it's a lot of number crunching to just kind of consider all of those different factors and find the right set of numbers, the right marketplace bonuses. And also factoring in that for the rest of this series, anyone with the complete Cool Cats set is also guaranteed access to the drop. And so there's a fair number of people who wouldn't have access, that are able to get access by owning and holding on to that complete set. And it's an option for anybody to complete that set, although it's not an easy option, we understand. And there's only so many people who can qualify that way. But we look at all of those factors, and that's how we end up choosing a number. And I think that there's a lot of focus on the actual number itself, 2,500 and 7,500. But the truth is that because of the way the marketplace bonuses are and the different collector score bonuses have changed between drops, they're not comparable numbers, right? 2,500 collector score for the premium pack is just not the same as 2,500 collector score for Holo Icon. And so I would always caution against looking too much at the number itself and more and I gather and I understand that this is difficult for people to do given that not everybody has access to look at everybody's collection and run all of those numbers, but you can kind of get a sense of it, of how difficult it is by looking at your own situation and friends and people sharing their experiences on social and podcasts and Discord.
That's kind of where that gamification comes in again, where you're looking at the different strategies to, most either efficiently or most joyously complete, those things
Yes.
that will give you bonuses. Because I will say, perhaps, it might be more efficient to collect a team that you're not a huge fan of. But, like, if you're, say, a huge Pistons fan, like for me, that would be something that I, would be out pursuing and wanting to fill in those gaps anyway. So, find the ways to collect that make you happy.
Totally
And,
agree with that.
there's a path, regardless of which way you're going. And so, other questions that we have about the drops specifically is wondering for things like the hollow drop, whether there's, going to be the option of anything more than just like the standard base rebound pack as a way to reward those who have met this threshold. And, I don't know that we have anything planned for this particular drop, but could that be a future consideration? What are your thoughts there, Alan?
So definitely a consideration that we can look at. The interesting thing about base set packs as rebound packs is because in a sense we don't have control over how many people can qualify for a pack drop, especially now that we're announcing requirements in advance and giving people an opportunity to cross that threshold. We don't know how many people ultimately will be qualified, and non-base set packs are limited, right? And so if we wanted to have, for example, and I shouldn't use this example because it's not a thing that we're doing, and so I'll just preface and say, there will be no premium packs as rebound packs. But even if we wanted to do that, we couldn't guarantee that we'd even have that many premium packs available because we can't it's up to you all how many of you actually qualify and join the queue. Obviously, we could say rebound packs aren't guaranteed, and that's an option that we're definitely looking at as a possibility in the future, where we have something that isn't a base set pack as a rebound pack, but it's not guaranteed. It's just kind of sort of a second chance in a sense, which I guess is what a rebound is. But for now, we do like the idea of the guaranteed rebound packs and the opportunities to get these base set packs. There's not a whole lot of them for existing collectors these days. So I think it's at least something, and it's still nice to be able to have that opportunity. If you're interested in it, to get a base set pack by having qualified for the drop. Obviously, the main goal is to get in there and get that Holo Icon pack in this case. But yeah, we're looking at the possibilities there, and I'd say we will consider what options might exist even for maybe even having playoff packs as a rebound pack coming up. Again, there's a limited number of playoff packs that exist, so there's a trade-off that we'd have to figure out there if we wanted to say, okay, well, not everyone's guaranteed to even get a rebound pack, then we could open that door. And so there's that possibility. If that's something that you all really want to see for Holo Icon, where you could get, a second release one playoff pack, there will be some that we still have. We've got some set aside already planned for some promotions. Make sure you're following us on Twitter and social and, reading the blog if you want a chance to win another playoff pack. But if you would all like to see playoff packs as a potential rebound pack, even knowing that that might mean that not everybody would even be guaranteed a rebound pack, then it's something we can look into and potentially consider.
But that's definitely nice to know that the team, and this is something I tell the community regularly, the team is listening, like they're hearing the feedback from the
Oh
community.
yes.
Um, I spend a lot of time in Alan's DMs going, hey, like this is still a thing. So
I want to give a
abs-
huge shout out also to our community team, right? All of our mods and you Candy and everybody who is there in Discord on social media, gathering all of this feedback and passing it on to the team. You all do a phenomenal job, and we do get to hear the feedback thanks to it. So please, continue to share the feedback with them, and please, give a round of applause to your community team as you interact with them. Like they're doing a phenomenal job and have really changed the game for us on the team, where we're able to see so much more of this feedback. And I think you've seen some of the improvements in communication we've been able to make. And I'm not saying we've done a perfect job, but I think we've done a lot better recently, is a direct result of all of your feedback and us actually having avenues to receive it and hear it and process it, ask questions, and get further clarification. And that whole process is working really great. And it's a huge testament to the phenomenal team and all the work that they're doing. Like they're nonstop. They're just nonstop. And it's awesome.
Thank you, Alan. We've got so much love for the community. I think that's, at the core why everybody is really here at Dapper is because like we're passionate community members and collectors and for the vast majority of us like
It's
just
so true. Yeah.
we're here because we want to keep making the product better. And so it's really important for the community to keep giving us,
Yeah, I
that same
think
feedback.
I've said that, I'd be doing this anyway, right? If I wasn't building building the product from the inside, I'd be out there building the tools on the outside and be spending just as much time. And it is absolutely a passion for all of us, and I think that that shows through.
And so with that, I know that we've only got about 5 minutes left. So let's look at some of the looking ahead bits, some of the questions that we've had proposed from the community, starting with, kind of the overarching, understanding the greater vision of collector score. What do you see as, some potential considerations for, the next steps? What is there anything, I don't know, maybe pulling out the CryptoKitties leaks, but what what can we, expect to see as we're moving on?
So I mentioned that we're looking into stacking bonuses. That is something that we teased, and I've teased maybe a little bit more today as a potential addition to the collector score. We're definitely continuing to look at the different permutations and variations of marketplace bonuses, not so much for collector score, but for those drop bonuses that can help you gain access that work in conjunction with your collector score. And we're continuing to hear and listen to that feedback, right? I know a lot of people have been asking about badges contributing to your collector score, and so that's absolutely an opportunity that we will be looking at and seeing if that's kind of universal feedback and what that could look like and how that can make sense. So it's the kind of thing that we're exploring and we'll see if it makes sense and that comes driven by the community.
All right. And so other things that people have asked about that were not explicitly mentioned here. What about unopened packs? We have a lot of hodlers of packs, and those don't currently play into collector score. Is that something that we would consider? And also, side note, when can we sell those on the marketplace?
Yeah, so that's something that the unopened pack marketplace is something that I think is going to be a lot of fun and interesting for people um, and and really interesting to see how that plays out. That's not one of those things that's in the near term. It's something where if you want to hold on to those unopened packs, that will come, but it'll be a ways down the line before that'll actually be available. But you are making an explicit trade-off, right? Because as you said, the those unopened packs aren't moments in your collection, and collector score measures moments in your collection, so they don't contribute to that collector score. And so it's the trade-off that you're making. You're choosing the potential fun and or value of being able to open that pack in the future when the whole context around that pack is so fundamentally different and potentially interesting. But part of the price that you're paying to do that is that you're not getting those collector score points for those moments, and that's an intentional thing on our part, and something that we're likely to continue with, and we want to just make sure it's very clear to everybody that that's the choice that you're making.
Right. And so, what about we've seen this as kind of the hot topic for bottlenecks, run it back moments, and kind of being the blocker to the full team completions. Do we have any future plans for, how that's working? Because some teams have them, some don't. What's
So
the
I'll say
big
that
picture there?
Yeah, I'll say that there's always going to be bottlenecks, and they're always going to feel like, well, why should this be the bottleneck? And the answer is something's going to be the bottleneck, right? And so that's just always going to be true. There's going to be some teams here in Series 2 where those 3-star rookies happen to be the only appearance of that player on that team in the series, and they become the bottleneck. And that's because something's going to be the bottleneck, right? In some cases, there may be additional plays still to come from some of those players. So I wouldn't like rush out there and try to control that market. Please don't do anything like that. But once the series is over, we will see that there are bottlenecks. And in Series One, a lot of those bottlenecks for certain teams were in the Run It Back series, and so that's how it is. And if it wasn't them, it'd be something else. That said, we do understand that the run it backs are kind of a special situation. A Lakers fan being asked to collect, the run it back moment from Series One. Is that right? Is that we'll listen to the feedback. If overwhelmingly people think, no, I want to collect the team, but I want to collect like this team that I'm a fan of, not someone who happened to get released from this team from a time when I wasn't following basketball. If that's the overwhelming feedback, that is interesting, and that could help guide how the feature evolves in the future. And the plan is to continue to evolve this feature for sure. So we're listening, and we'll take that into consideration if that is the feedback. And if the feedback is no, I'm a Lakers fan, and I think I should have to have all the Lakers. Let us know that too, and we'll take that into consideration as well. For Holo Icon, of course, things are the way that they are, and we've announced it, and I think been pretty clear. And like I said, there's always going to be a bottleneck, and it'll be different for different teams and different situations. And so for now, those run it back moments are part of that requirement for the full team and the Series One team bonuses, where there is a run it back moment.
All right. So I think we can get in one more question before, we hit that timer
No
and Alan
pressure,
has been
Candy. Make it a good one.
so busy. Oh my God. Um, for future drops, Alan, what can we expect? Are we going to keep working with collector score and the market spend? Are there other avenues to get into drops potentially? What about the Cool Cats 9 Lives Lounge?
Yeah, so we have promised that the Nine Lives Lounge is going to be guaranteed access to each of the drops this series. And so that'll probably continue to take the form of a bonus that happens to equal whatever the collector score requirements are. collector score is something that we view as core and central and important, and to be a huge factor for pack eligibility moving forward. And so we think that it's something where as you build up your Top Shot collection, your collector score will increase, and as you build complete sets and chase down your favorite teams, those bonuses will be available to you, and that will always help you get closer to pack eligibility, or in some cases, just straight into pack eligibility in the future. Marketplace bonus is something we're going to continue to look at and iterate on, and we like the idea that drop bonuses, so one-time things, can be opportunities to help supplement your collector score and help you get you access. And so you can imagine there might be goals or tasks in the future for specific drops where if you complete those, then that'll give you a nice little bump or boost and reduce essentially the collector score that you need to have naturally in order to get into a specific drop. And those are things that we're going to continue to look at, and I think are going to be a really fun and interesting way for everybody, all collectors, to have access to various levels of drops, regardless of the size of your collection when you started, etc.
Awesome. And so, speaking of various levels of drops, the playoff pack release drop is opening, 2 minutes ago, isn't it?
Yes, get in there, get those packs. You have all weekend to get in the queue, but you probably want to get in early because we've got some of those challenges live now. Make sure you read the challenges blog that's out there that's explaining the 8 different playoff challenges that we've got running over the next 2 weeks. They're all common challenges. It's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to seeing how everybody interacts with those. And good luck to everybody. And thank you all so much for tuning in. I really appreciate all of your time.
Super awesome to have you here, Alan. I think we're definitely going to have to do this more because I like chatting with you, and just like the wealth of knowledge and behind the scenes info you have to share with the community is amazing.
It's
Uh, we
great to chat
also
with you too. Thanks all.
we also have Jacob hosting Duncan Robinson and Darius Garland during the drop today. So if whether or not you pre-registered for that, make sure you're checking out the stream anyway, because that's going to be exciting having those guys hanging out with Jacob. With that, we will close office hours for today. We will continue our regular schedule next Friday. Thank you all for coming. We will get the recording posted up on YouTube later. Have a good day, all.